Hi everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Thursday, June 20th, 2024 from Brussels. Dr. Gilbert Doctorow, one of the world's foremost authorities on Russian culture, politics, and military behavior joins us now. Professor Dr. Rowe, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Good to be with you. Thank you. So we have two subject matters to discuss. One is President Putin's trip to North Korea, what was accomplished by it, and the Western reaction. And the other is President Putin's peace offering. Let's start with the older of the two, the peace offering. What is your analysis of the Western response to this rather rational and somewhat surprising peace offering that President Putin advanced late last week? I think I'm going to surprise you and some of the viewers by saying that I share the consensus evaluation of what Mr. Putin was doing as opposed to what the alternative narrative people are saying. And in that regard, I start with remarks made on your show by Jeffrey Sachs, for whom I have the greatest regard, but whose evaluation of what Mr. Putin did, I think, was incorrect. The consensus in the West was that he was imposing a defeat on Ukraine, which they haven't yet entirely suffered, and that he was making demands which were similar in kind to Mr. Zelensky's demands on him, namely that he withdraw, that the other side withdraw all of their troops from contested territory before negotiations begin. And this was a small detail that Jeffrey Sachs overlooked. The Russians, after all, are not bunny rabbits. And, we may be the big bad wolf, but that doesn't mean that they are bunny rabbits. And Mr. Putin's remarks were quite tough to take if you run Ukrainian side. They were demanding, a surrender, essentially a surrender. And then we will enter negotiations if the Ukrainians withdraw all of their troops from the Donbass for the negotiations to begin. That is a mirror image of what Zelensky was saying. We will begin negotiations with the Russians at once as soon as they take all the troops out of Ukraine. Right. What was the reasoning? But obviously what you have said, President Putin and his advisors understand what was the reason for his making those comments at the time he made them. Was it to sort of, as we say in America, to Bigfoot to steal the thunder from President Zelensky, the so-called peace conference in Switzerland? It was directly, written and delivered for the purpose of reaching the ears of all of those 90 countries that were represented at the peace conference. Yes. That is the case. Among the Russians, they called what he said a diplomatic torpedo. And what is a diplomatic torpedo amongst countries that have no diplomatic relationships? Not directed at Kiev, but directed at the countries who were present to shake them up. And I think the Russians achieved that objective. They were applying maximum pressure to the countries who had, not heeded their advice not to come and were present in Switzerland. And they were telling them that you cannot say that we the Russians are opposed to negotiations. Here are our terms. And let's sit down and talk. He was presenting himself as reasonable but steely and determined. He was, of course, always also keeping an eye on his own compatriots, and he who have charged him with being too soft, too diplomatic, too nice, and so leading them down the road to an escalation that could not end well. He was being tough, and that the tough is the new Russian line. And that will be the connection between our first topic, that is the Putin olive branch, so to speak. And the second topic is what he achieved in Pyongyang. All right. Before we get to Pyongyang, I know you're anxious to get there, and I am as well. And the viewers are anxious to hear what you have to say about it. Talk to us, please, about the pressure on President Putin. I'm going to use an American phrase from his right, from those who want him to be tougher, from those who are saying, enough is enough. You speculated the last time on this show. It was a great speculation coming from you, that the Russians might level Kiev. They might do something dramatic and irreversible to bring an end to this. What kind of pressure is there on President Putin to end the special military operation/war in Ukraine?